Hello, everybody. Good evening and welcome to the United Stand. Lots to talk about tonight. Manchester United's interested in Mbappe, Ruben Neves, transfer price basically set by the Wolves manager, and also David Moyes speaking openly about Jesse Lingard, amongst many other things, maybe a move for Dembele. Lots to talk about. I am joined by James. How you doing, James?
Good, mate. Thank you for having me on.
Nice to see you sat down.
A
little joke there that no one will get, but there you go. Yes, welcome back to James. He was on the show on Tuesday with Beth. Welcome to the channel, pal.
Thank you, mate. I spent a lot of my Friday nights watching this, so it's nice to be. I spent a lot of Fridays in lockdown with you, so it's nice to actually be here this time.
Well, you did, yeah. We won't repeat what you said before the stream. Anyway, let's go straight into it. I don't know whether to start. I think I will start with Kylian Mbappe. I do want to talk about in fact, we'll start about Ruben Neves because I think Ruben Neves is the more likely deal, and I think a lot of people will say, "Oh, Mbappe is never going to happen. It's never going to happen." There is a story behind Mbappe, and United apparently are interested in him, and we'll talk about that. He is free in a year, but I want to start about Ruben Neves because I think this is the deal that probably gets people the most excited, even though I personally don't think it will happen. But the manager of Wolves has been doing a press conference today ahead of their game this weekend and basically said that Ruben Neves is a player that played well last week. They don't see him itching for a move, but effectively did say everybody's got a price. And when I hear that, James, it makes me think, well, ultimately, yeah, all right, maybe United aren't going to do anything. Maybe he is going to stay. But when a manager says, look, we want to keep him, he's very happy here, but everyone's got a price, then that basically says he's for sale for me.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we're not saying that about Lingard, are we? We've sort of done half of that. So, mate, I think this is the one. I'm looking in the chat now. This has got to be the one we go for. If anyone's going to come in, we've got less than 2 weeks. In my opinion, if anyone's going to come in, he's the most likely. We're going to get a good look at him in, was it next weekend?
Yeah.
I'm keen for this. I wonder what that price would be. That's my only sort of stipulation.
I think it would be 35 to 40 million, I think, sort of around that. Considering Jota went for the same price last year and Wolves don't seem to be absolutely stupid about transfer fees.
No, and I think this is. I think a lot hinges on Lingard, mate. To be honest, I think Pereira's gone. To me, the next. Nothing's going to happen between now and Sunday. I think, as with United all the time, it's always when the game's on, nothing kind of comes out. Monday morning, I think things have to start moving either way, and I think we're going to be in a position where if Jesse's on his way out, I think that's the only way we get Neves. Because I would much rather us have gone for a Camavinga or someone of that ilk, even a Pape Sarr. But reason being, we're going to lose between a minimum of 1 and a maximum of 3 midfielders this time next year. So for me, I'd love to have seen us building a little bit more for the future rather than just kind of going for a Neves. But at this point, mate, well, I mean, we've got to take anything, haven't we?
We have. I think it's interesting because Marcio mentions Tchouameni there, and I saw something today that Chelsea are looking for a midfielder, despite having Jorginho, Kante, and Kovacic. Chelsea are looking for a midfielder, and I'm like, we're not looking for a midfielder. We need a midfielder. We've got an advert on eBay everywhere. We're not looking. We need to buy one. And Chelsea are looking more likely buying one than we are, despite having much better options than us. I just feel that there won't be enough time. Ram says Neves is 24. I must say I didn't think
it's a great source
that it is, but I think that I think Neves probably is a player that the chat likes, and I do like. But with a week and a half, really, it's a week on Tuesday, the transfer window closes. I just don't think United are going to do any deal in the midfield now. Time is running out.
He doesn't feel like a very Ollie signing to me. And I say that because Ollie tends to go for high end, look at best in class Sancho Varane this summer, or sort of development. And I don't feel like, I think Neves potentially sort of fits in the middle of that. And if you look at Donny, I think he sort of probably felt in that same bracket, and obviously that's not gone brilliantly. So I think he would be reluctant to jump in at that kind of money, same sort of fees, same kind of profile again. I just can't see him being a sort of typical Ollie signing if that such a thing exists. I mean, you look at his transfer record. I mean, it's pretty good over the last couple of years. But to me, Neves, it feels like a fan theory. I've watched this channel so many Fabinho's and Cook Miners, and to me, it's in that bracket. We would love it. We know we need it. It doesn't feel like a natural Ollie fit for me. But I just saw someone there say get rid of Matic, bring in Neves. But I don't think even that's going to happen, is it? I think Matic is with us for at least a year.
I think throughout this summer, we've had so many midfielders linked to us, and I think we did need to buy a midfielder. But I think with a week and a half left, it's going to be very, very difficult. Somebody just mentioned Goretzka there. Goretzka signed the new contract. What a surprise.
We got done.
Yeah, we did about 4 or 5 transfer shows on him because apparently Goretzka's going to come. Did say throughout the whole lot that, that to me just stinks of a player looking to get a new contract. And so it was. Camavinga, well, that looked like it could happen, and then it's totally disappeared. Tchouaméni was a load of nonsense. Sarr was a load of nonsense. Neves is a fan theory. We're just not going to buy a midfielder, and I think the only reason it keeps being mentioned is because we've had very vague stories from numerous media outlets that United would like a midfielder, and then coupled with the fact that every fan wants a midfielder, but we don't do a deal in a week and a half. So we're just not going to do it. What do you think that means for the season if we don't get a midfielder?
It's like when you're trying to get a date, isn't it? And they sort of agree to it. And then when it actually comes the day before and you're trying to arrange a date, like a place in a Nando's, that then you don't get a text back. And for me, that's the same way that journalists do with Man United transfers. Like, it's lovely to just keep throwing it out there, see if someone bites, and we do, because obviously we want it to happen. But what does it mean for the season ahead? I don't know. I still hold out hope that something's going to happen. I think a lot will hinge on what happens with Kane and City and Chelsea, honestly. I think because if, like I saw you tweet that Arsenal have spent more than Man United, I think if we're in a position toward the end of the window where Chelsea have gone again, City have got Kane, maybe something will happen. I've just got a feeling Trippier's, to me, it's so Ollie, isn't it? It's so Ollie. Like, you can imagine him on the phone to Trippier. What would his name be?
Kieran.
Yeah, you can see it. He's probably got him in his WhatsApp group already. It feels like that's what I mean by Ollie signing. Like, it's a pretty obvious one. To me, Neves is a bit too under the radar. And I don't know, I think you hit it on the head earlier. At the moment, it's Man United's in a great place. We won 5-1 and there's a lot of buzz. Cavani's back in training today. Everyone's singing the new song on Twitter and it looks great. Pogba looks really happy. Greenwood's there. They're placing those little five-a-side matches that they always seem to do on YouTube. I've never seen them do any actual training. It's always just the same little game they seem to do. But it's a good atmosphere. And yeah, like Ollie did a great presser today and it's a good atmosphere. There's a good mood. But December and November, and when it gets a bit shit weather-wise and we're sat there with McTominay and Fred and the same kind of situation we've been in, that's when we're going to find out, I think.
Well, Ben Anderson says there he's very happy with the squad. And I think you've got to be very careful at the moment. I was very aware of some of the comments this afternoon when I was doing the press conference. And I just want to clarify, as I said before, this is not a negative about the players or Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. This is about the board. And if you're going to get moody about people, offering up constructive criticism, then you may as well print a big T-shirt with Joel Glazer on it, because you're just backing the Glazers after 16 years of nonsense. And reality is, I don't think anything's going to go wrong immediately, because it's a 9-month season. And I think the first few weeks of the season, everybody's buzzing. The real squad work and your real depth starts to show as them Champions League games kick in after the second international break, which is sort of October, November time. And we're trying to be in a title race. We're not trying to comfortably get top 4, because we'll do that with this squad. We're trying to get in a title race. I saw somebody saying today about, they were giving Ollie some praise, and I quite liked a lot of what they said. And then they were like, all this myth that Ollie plays a 4-2, with 2 holding midfielders. He doesn't play 2 holding midfielders. He wants to play modern, attacking, high-pressing football with modern athletic footballers who break the play up and get it going. I was like, you are talking out of your arse. McFred run around and do a very effective job at running around and being combative, but they are not modern progressors of the ball in any sense of the word. We don't have those sort of players at Manchester United. Well, maybe
there's that stat on Matic. Yeah, I think he is in the top 10 most progressive passes played forward. And I mean, how many times did he play last year? That shows you all you need to know. Like,
and it's like Marvin says, we don't press. We don't actually press. He's right. I'm worried about the midfield, but I don't think it's going to matter massively over the coming weeks and months. And I think that if you utilise Matic and Van der Beek, they look in form at the moment. Obviously, we know that. We know that McTominay and Fred played well last week, so I think we'll be all right for a few weeks, but we're trying to get in a title race. That's my thing.
That's one for you. Tonali's long gone, isn't he? I know you're a fan.
Yeah. Where's he gone?
Been he signed somewhere?
Oh no, yeah.
He's not left the place. He's not gone like intergalactic. He's not gone with Jeff Bezos.
No, Lingard to West Ham and Garner, or Ahmad loan to Sheffield, and we get Bergs.
I like this theory. I put this on Twitter. I like that idea of getting Berg in. If I don't like Ahmad going the other way, but if there was a way of getting Berg in, I think at this point to me, that's what I was saying. I think I'd rather go for a midfielder like that, a little bit younger, a little bit more under the radar, that has the potential to develop. I think
he's like Matic, isn't he? He's that sort of
exactly. It's so Ollie. Like you can see it a mile off.
Norwegian.
Yeah, exactly. They've obviously got each other's number. They probably hang out. I can see them having a lovely time.
I mean, look, I've said it a few times. I think a lot of people probably pick up on it. Maybe some people in the chat will pick up on it. I have been saying all summer, don't sleep on Sander Berg. And that doesn't mean we're going to buy him. It's just a few people have said to me, just don't sleep on that deal. It doesn't look like it's going to happen. But like you say, it wouldn't actually surprise me. Interesting, just before we talk about Mbappe, David Moyes, we've spoken about the Wolves manager saying that he's, basically
everyone's got a price,
Yeah, everyone's got a price. West Ham, Moyes, again, we had Stuart Pearce at the start of the week, Moyes today in his conference saying, look, we want Lingard. Manchester United know we want Lingard. We want Lingard.
He's yours. He's all yours.
Would you, why?
Yes, I absolutely would. For the same reasons everyone is saying in the chat, for his own good. I mean, this is the bit of 2 weeks ago, I think Jesse's looking around in pre-season, going, oh yeah, I'm the man. Like he's, we know he comes back fit. Then you start to see Cavani and you see Sancho's getting fit, and then you see all the other lads coming through, and suddenly you're like, oh fuck, I'm quite far back here. And I think it's the same. I think it'll be the same with Sander Berg. Interesting. I wonder if those sort of players is fine in pre-season in the Championship, but then I wonder when the season kicks in, if you're playing in the Championship, and I just wonder if there's some movement there. But Jesse, I think he has to go, mate. Honestly, at this point, great player. We love him dearly and wish him all the best. But I'd love to see him go to an Everton. I think that would be a really good move for him. But West Ham feels likely, and as a week to go on the window, I mean, are we going to be stupid about the money?
I mean, if we don't, Lingard's the only one we're going to get money for. I mean, some people will say it's surprising.
We've sold no one. We've made £0.
It isn't actually surprising we've sold no one. I think many people expected people to be sold, but it's just, it just seems to me everything's about Sancho and Varane, who are great signings, but it's almost like the ultimate papering of the cracks that United normally do. I think
we've lost money, haven't we? We probably, because we're paying half of, or probably a percentage of Pereira. I think we're actually we're in the red. I don't think we've even made money on that. So to get something for someone would be great. And it feels like he's got to be the one. And it'd be great to see him play. Like, it was so great watching him and seeing what he can do and being reminded of those times, because he's had some great moments, and suddenly you forget because it's been miserable for him. Yeah. He's a fifth, sixth league player, and he deserves the chance to do it if he wants it.
He has to be part of that. What's happening with Wan-Bissaka, says Ive? I don't know.
This is about the driving thing, isn't it? I think that's probably not one for here, because it sounds to me like it's a little bit caught up in the court, like literally in the court. So I think it's a driving offence thing. Well,
we've had, it's not right, but we've had plenty of footballers who've done things, like that. So yeah, it's about the football. I'd sell James before I'd sell Lingard to Shane. And Leon says, what's your opinion on Calvin Phillips for Dan James? We can all do deals. We can all create deals. Come on, James, pull a deal that works and makes a lot of sense out of your head.
Yeah, exactly. I called Calvin Phillips Calvin Harris on my first ever stream here, and I'm surprised I got invited back. So there you go. Imagine him in Ibiza tonight, living at large in Leeds.
Yeah, I mean, look. Yeah, I mean, I can think of a few deals that we could do. Let's go to West Ham. Let's give them Jesse Lingard, Phil Jones, Andres Pereira. Just give them about 10 players and everyone, and 50 million for Declan Rice. We clear our squad. And we get Declan Rice for 50 million.
But then Chelsea'd still come in and offer the same, and he'd go there. So,
it's interesting on Declan Rice, though, because if Chelsea are wanting to buy a holding midfielder and they do end up getting Tchouaméni, they'll still go on they'll still get Declan Rice next summer. I think people will get really. It's like the whole Haaland thing. Wow, PSG have got Messi and no one else has got any money, so he's definitely coming to United. It's like, no, in a year's time, people will have money. PSG might decide they want Haaland as well, and the same with Chelsea. Just because they buy a midfielder this summer doesn't mean that they won't get Declan Rice next summer.
He's not coming. I'd love him. I'd absolutely love him here. But you got to understand, like you always say, he's not. We would go to Man United. We're Man United fans. If they called us up, we'd go for free. I'd pay you. Name it, But he's a Chelsea lad. His best mate plays there. He came from there, and we can be, Ollie can get the whiteboard out and draw all the diagrams he wants. But I don't see it, mate. It's interesting that they're pegging this line of, we're going to wait till next year to get Declan Rice, but it's like, and then to watch him walk out the door to Chelsea. Yeah,
good use of the word pegging. Not the first time it's been mentioned on this show.
I try.
So Mbappe. Let's talk about Mbappe then, because it is in the headline.
Is that
this started off with ESPN this morning, and I've heard it a couple of places as well, that Manchester United would like to bring Kylian Mbappe to Manchester United next year. We know we're looking for a striker. We know that we are looking for top. I just mentioned Haaland there. Mbappe's available in a year. Real Madrid fans have been in the chat. They have to try and cling to some relevancy at the moment because he's definitely coming to Real Madrid. I think they're probably right. But having said that, I don't think anything's definite in football.
Do you think would you, if you were him, would you at 20, what is he, 23, 22?
I don't know.
Would you 20s. Do you think that still exists, that sort of dream of going to Madrid? It doesn't seem like a particularly happy place, does it, at the moment?
It still does. I was on about this the other day. Every player seems to want to go to Real Madrid, and it must be a continental thing because I don't think many English lads want to go and play for Real Madrid, but it seems to be a massive thing if you're French or Portuguese or
10 years ago, in the white shirt and the glamour and all that. But it's But Mbappe, I don't know. It's what does Beth say? She calls Haaland Haaland. I think this is dreamland, isn't it? For us, it's we're way off, mate. I think this is absolute bullshit. We'd all love him, wouldn't we? But where's he? No, it's not going to happen. What do you think? Do you think there's any chance?
I do think there's a chance. I don't. Look, Liverpool fans have spent a lot of time thinking that they're going to get Kylian Mbappe, and when you think about it, the Premier League is the most prestigious and rich league in the world, and Kylian Mbappe is available for free in a year. I'm quite surprised that he hasn't been linked to more Premier League clubs, and I think that this is only because we are Manchester United. The Real Madrid link. I do think he's available. I do think he wants to go. And there's a lot of people. I've seen people in the chat tonight saying, "Well, why would Kylian Mbappe want to leave PSG?" Probably because he's been there a few years. I don't. What's he going to be, a fanboy? Oh, Messi's here, Neymar. He's got to look after his own career and be his own best player.
I think in many ways, Messi coming is probably only encouraging him to leave. And I say that because you're not the guy. Yeah, he's been the guy for however many years. And I know Neymar's there as well. But in France, he's French. Yeah, he is their kind of Rashford. It's that sort of national treasure sort of status. And I'd imagine when a player of that ilk comes in, you're suddenly like, oh, fucking hell, I want to go and be the main man again. It's a bit like Messi for me in terms of United. I'd love us to be in the conversation because I think as a club of this level, we should be. Ramon's lost his shit. Never. Oh, I can't. Hello?
Sorry, I'd lost my. It was me. I was muted myself.
Oh, sorry, mate. It happened with. Yeah, I thought I was being stupid.
No.
Mbappe showed me to play. Oh, I thought that was Zayn Miassi. I was waiting for my first Zayn comment.
Everyone's dream is to play at Arsenal under Arteta. But yeah, I know I do. I think there's a few people in the chat saying there's no chance of Mbappe. I just say, hold on a minute. There was no chance of Varane. There was no chance of Varane, and we've done that deal. And I just think, Mbappe with 4 years on his contract. No, we're not going to be able to do that. United can't do those sort of deals. Mbappe with 1 year left on his contract, and Mbappe free, which it won't. I don't think Mbappe will go this summer. Of course, United can do that. My question would be,
will we?
If Greenwood, Cavani's gone next year, we probably do need to buy a striker. But if Greenwood has a really good year, are you not then limiting Greenwood's future at Manchester United with Sancho, Rashford, Ahmad, all these players coming through wide, and Greenwood's going to be the striker? I think that Haaland sort of Mbappe thing worries me about Greenwood, really. And I'm just focused on this season, really. Next season can take care of itself.
Ollie I don't know if he did a press conference the other week, and someone asked him about Greenwood being a number 9, and he sort of dodged it by saying, "Who said he was a number? When did I say he was a number 9?" I think that's him preparing us for someone, maybe not an Mbappe, but certainly a Haaland coming in and being the number 9. I think that's teeing up this thing of don't get too obsessed with Mason being a number 9. I think Ollie still sees him as a sort of a winger, really. For me, that's how he seems to be positioning him. I don't know if you've noticed that as well. Certainly, obviously, recently.
Well, he's played him up front in the last couple of games, hasn't he? And I just think that's Greenwood's going to find himself on the bench a bit this season, definitely, because Cavani's now back in training, as we've seen today. Sancho's been spent big money. Rashford will be back soon. There'll be rotation because he loves Greenwood, and Greenwood could conceivably push himself ahead of any of those players. That's the sort of talent that I think he's got. But yeah, I mean, I do think that next summer is going to be very interesting. Somebody in the chat just mentioned Lewandowski wanting to leave Bayern Munich. You've got Ronaldo, who will be free next summer as well, although he'll be about 49. You've got
you're never free on the bus.
Yeah. Mbappe's free next summer. Haaland's effectively free because his release clause is 70 million, which is a steal. Harry Kane probably will have left, but might not have left. You could have what would you do then, James? Then you're the boss next year. Yeah. You can have Kane, Haaland, Ronaldo, Mbappe, or Lewandowski.
Well, it's like the defender merry-go-round this year, isn't it? Everyone wanted a defender. Next year, we're in for it's the striker go. I think you'd be crazy not to go for Haaland, wouldn't you? For that. Although I did see that his release clause may go up to 90 with add-ons and stuff, depending on performance base. I think for me, you've got to go Haaland, haven't you? The Haaland Sancho link up again. No, would you take Mbappe?
No, well, I'd take Haaland over Mbappe because he's more of a number 9. I'd take Haaland over Kane because Kane would be 29, and I just don't think he can play a full season. I'd take Haaland over Lewandowski because Lewandowski will be 34 and has never played in the Premier League, which leaves Ronaldo or Haaland. And
you've got a soft spot for Ronaldo, haven't you?
Well, it's just the romance of Ronaldo. Yeah. It makes no sense to take a 37-year-old over a 21-year-old or whatever he'd be. I think I agree with everybody. I agree with you actually on it, James, as well. It would be Haaland, but I'd find it hard to turn Ronaldo down.
You could come and do a matter for £500,000 a week and cheer everyone on, couldn't he?
Yeah, it would have to be Haaland. But the problem with Haaland is I don't think it will ever happen because I think with Haaland it's the Riola thing, and he'd only come for 2 or 3 years. It'd be like having Paul Pogba again. And look, I don't blame Pogba for a lot of it. I blame Mino Riola.
But we're seeing this shift, aren't we? But I think we're going to see more and more frees. Like you're going to see it more and more because it's because of money. No one's got any money, so the only way to get these big transfers is to grind your contract down and then get the big payout that way. I think football is changing. That's going to be the next. We're seeing it. It's happening. I mean, what's to say Lingard won't do that? I mean, I don't think he would. He doesn't seem like that kind of guy. But he could easily in 2-3 weeks just go. You know what? I'm just going to see what happens next year.
I think it's all right to bring your contract down if you are a player that's actually playing football. I think the Paul Pogba situation is perfect. Paul Pogba in another world. If you had a different manager in a different, I think 10 years ago, Sir Alex Ferguson would say, I ain't picking you. If you're running your club, you're an £80 million player. You're basically saying you're going for free in a year's time. If you don't sign a new contract or go now, I'll stick you in the reserves. And I think that I think Sir Alex would have done that. But these days, probably rightly or wrong, I don't know rightly or wrongly, whether it's better or for worse. Ollie's like, me and Pogba get on really well, and they do. And this is between the club and his agent. And it's almost like, he's playing well, he's happy. And of course he's happy because he's playing and he's playing well. And he knows that his value for him, but not for us, his value is nothing. But his value to clubs who want to go 450 grand a week, 500 grand a week. It's in Pogba's interests to play well this season to get more and more people wanting.
He's in a great position. I mean, I hate it, but he's in the absolute. He's got us by the balls, isn't he? Because he's going to have a ton of offers. He can name a price, or Riola can name a price, and he can sit down, like on X Factor, and they used to pick out like judges out. Which one do you want? And it's going to be that, and he's going to pick the one he wants. But I would say, just going back to Mbappe, there is a bit of a French revolution going on at the moment, and that I mentioned that because I think that is to players quite an important thing. Like I do think you are drawn to where people of the same kind of language speaking, cultural bringing ups tend to kind of congregate. You look at Wolves as an example, the big Portuguese presence. I think if we could somehow have sort of like a French mini team, I mean, God, that'd be pretty cool. But I think we're in dreamland there a little bit. But it's interesting. It's worth pointing out. I mean,
you could get Mbappe. I mean, I just saw someone in the chat there saying, "What's this title talking about Mbappe?" And I'm like, "It's a
news story."
Well, it's a news story anyway from 2 different outlets that United would like Mbappe. But also, I think we've almost veered into stupidity again because we're almost like it's almost like a couple of summers ago when we buy nobody. We have just bought Jadon Sancho and Rafael Varane. Now, we haven't bought the midfielder, and I will criticise the board, and we've sold nobody. But where I will defend the board is that they have just bought Varane and Sancho. Like this whole Ollie can't attract big players. I'm sorry, Rafael Varane. Why would you leave Real Madrid? Why would you leave Real Madrid? just fancied a new challenge, did you? I mean, it's
in the rain in Manchester.
Wow, I just think that is a big player, and I think what you've said spot on. You've got Varane, French, Martial's French, Pogba's French. If Pogba signs a new contract, maybe he thinks, I do want to go and play with Pogba and Varane at Manchester United, Kylian Mbappe.
You turn up to training, you look around, and you'd be like, "This Cavani's over there. I've got Jadon Sancho has come in. Varane's won everything," and suddenly you kind of go, "Actually, you know what? This is all right." And I wonder if an Mbappe might do the. I mean, that is the only hope we've got. Is he looks at what we're doing and goes, "You know what? I don't know. I think that's the only chance we've got with Mbappe." But it's interesting. Like, who'd have thought we'd be sat here talking about Messi and Mbappe leaving? I mean, it's in the space of 2 weeks. It's nuts.
I just think with football, especially like you said, for the reason there, anything is possible in football for a Premier League club apart from Arsenal. Like, basically Chelsea, Manchester United, Liverpool, and Man City. I think they could bring any player in. I think the strength of the Premier League financially, its sustainability, and its pull means that those 4 clubs can do anything. And I'm not saying it's impossible for Spurs or Arsenal or Leicester either. I just think at the moment,
for Arsenal, it is.
Yeah, they're a little bit far off. But I will just say this: there's no doubt that Kylian Mbappe is a good player, and I'm sure he's watching tonight, feeling absolutely great that I've said he's not a bad player.
Yes. Good evening, Kylian.
Yeah, but to all the Real Madrid fans that keep coming in, you can have him. You are a club on your knees. I do believe that you need to get back to winning ways, and I'm happy for you to take Kylian Mbappe. I don't actually want Mbappe at United, and don't start going, "Oh, Goldbridge doesn't want him." I understand the value of Mbappe, and I would more than welcome him at the club. But we all have our preferences, and to me, Kylian Mbappe is a player that I go undoubtedly a fantastic player. And look, if I can't get the ones I want, I'll take him. I mean, I don't want bloody Danny Ings, and I would take Mbappe above that. But realistically, I would rather get Haaland, and I would rather get a couple of other different players. I'd much rather Mason Greenwood developed into the player I think he can be this year, and we spent the money elsewhere. But I don't actually want Mbappe at United in the sense that there's other options I would rather have, James.
Well, does he fit in? Does he fit into the system for you? I mean, obviously, you wouldn't say no, of course, but where would you play him?
He's another one of those players that I think becomes sort of an Henry as he gets older and older, doesn't he? He will play through the middle, definitely, and can play through the middle. But I think the way United are developing, I agree. I think the Cavani sort of striker has shown the way Ollie wants a striker to work, which is intelligent movement in the box, creating space, being part of the link-up play. Whereas I think, Mbappe maybe isn't that yet. He might become that. But I think Greenwood is becoming that. And I think that's what Ollie wants. And I think, that's why Ollie wants Haaland, because he sees him as that complete number 9. He probably wants Harry Kane for the same reason.
Well, Ollie's got this. He talks so much. We know he's obsessed with the striker, and he talks about forwards and strikers. And to me, I think Mbappe fits as a forward rather than a striker. So it's interesting. But who knows? I mean, he's on it. So what? His contract? He can start talking to clubs in a couple of weeks.
Kylian Mbappe? No. So Kylian Mbappe is like Pogba. He becomes a free player. No, he's in his final year from September the 1st. And then in January, Pogba can talk to clubs outside of the UK. And Mbappe can speak to clubs outside of France.
It's quite the Christmas, isn't it?
Yeah. Which is why either player would be bloody stupid to sign a new contract with their clubs now. Because
you wouldn't do that.
I mean, look. It's the same with Pogba, isn't it? If you're Mbappe, you may stay at PSG, but I wouldn't start talking to PSG till the summer, till I know what Madrid are offering, what United are offering, what Chelsea are offering, what every club's offering, and then I'd go, yeah, I'll stay at PSG if you pay me this sort of money, and but I think Mbappe will end up. Let's have a little game. Where do you think Mbappe will end up at?
Give us a percentage, Mark. We love this. What's your percentage on?
I think Real Madrid will desperately try and get back to being a big club again, and I think that sort of signing for them is essential. I do think Barcelona would. I wouldn't be surprised if Mbappe went to Madrid and Haaland went to Barcelona, and we had this sort of new Ronaldo, sort of like a Poundland Ronaldo versus Messi thing. Because ultimately, I think Mbappe and Haaland are fantastic, but they ain't Messi and Ronaldo. So I wouldn't be surprised if we started to see that sort of thing. But
we can snap up Josh King just when.
Yeah, Danny Ings to Barcelona, Josh King to Real Madrid. The real B-Tech version.
It's written in the stars, isn't it?
Yeah, but no, I do think Mbappe will end up at Madrid. There's talk that Camavinga wants to go to Madrid as well. Like you say, there is this just Madrid pull that players seem to have that, you know, is what it is. But yeah, I think he'll end up at Real Madrid. What about you?
Like I said, I don't know. There's in the noughties, like growing up, and I can understand the Madrid thing. Now I look at it and they're kind of on their knees a little bit. I know we're going to get trolled in the chat here, but they are. The Premier League's super strong. You'd want to cut your teeth here before you go there. Surely you're going to go there to retire, but if I was his age and his talent, you'd want to try it here first, wouldn't you?
Well, did you see that thing about Madrid that they were trying to join the Premier League as well? It's like Australia saying it's a bit hot here. We're going to move to Europe. We're going to move the country, Australia. We're going to get some jet skis underneath it, a million jet skis, dig underneath and just move Australia off the coast of Wales.
Yeah.
You know,
everyone
we'll knock Ireland out the way. We're going to go straight between Cornwall and Ireland, and we're just going to push. And Ireland goes booming off to America, which they'll probably quite like. They just get like a bloody beach ball as they come up. I mean, Real Madrid into the bloody Premier League. What a load of nonsense. But that just shows you the problems that Real Madrid have got. They do want to be in a Super League, as did Barcelona. Yeah. And I understand why, because they've got financial issues. But they'll be back. Real Madrid and Barcelona will be back, and I think they will get Mbappe.
They'll do what they can for cash, won't they? They're, it's like cash for gold. They're in a position where they need money, and if that, they'll do anything to get it. And well, you see with Barcelona, I mean, they have to sign people on freeze. That's the only way they can really do business at the moment. And like I said, I think we're going to see more and more of that, to be honest. I think there's going to be more and more players running contracts down, looking for options, doing a Pogba, doing an Mbappe. I would go for Calvert-Lewin. No, that can't be real, Desiree.
I can't think about Calvert-Lewin because he's been so crap in my Everton career mode that I'm sort of fell into this trap of judging people off FIFA at the moment. And I'm like, he's so crap. And he's not crap. Calvert-Lewin's a good player in real life, but he's just so shit on my FIFA career mode.
Wasn't Dan James very good for you on that as well last year?
Yeah, I actually started to like Dan James a little bit more.
Oh,
but yeah,
see the power of FIFA. Eh? Look at us now.
Just talking about Dan James in the game at the weekend, because I will forget. Yeah. Obviously, a lot of people.
I tried to forget about poor Dan person.
Preview for the game against Southampton. We know we've got Sancho and we've got Varane. What's your thoughts about the weekend and making changes, and whether Ollie will make changes?
He should and he won't, I think, is my opinion. I spoke about this with Beth. I was worried when Varane wasn't involved in the midweek thing with Burnley. I think I don't understand why you wouldn't chuck him in there, even for half an hour. To me, that's very like Ollie. Oh, he's not quite ready yet. That sort of whole warming up thing. I've got a horrible feeling, and I won't lose my shit about it, but it'd be nice to see him play. I don't think he's going to pop him in. What do you think? I mean, I'd love it to happen, obviously, but I just have a feeling with Ollie.
There does seem to be a growing consensus that Ollie will stick with Lindelof. And I even saw Maguire posting a picture on his socials today of him and Lindelof. And I sort of had to hold my tongue. I felt like going, Harry, what the bloody hell are you doing? I will not go through another Van der Beek. I will not go through another Van der Beek with Varane. I will not do it. I'm not going to have a play. And look, I love Donny, but Varane's on a different level. Just bloody pick him. I've got a video. I have to be careful because I did the interview yesterday, but it's not coming out till tomorrow. So I presume everybody's watched it. But I did a thing with Paul Ince about this game, which is going on the channel tomorrow. And
he wants some more, doesn't he? He wants to play 3.
It was basically, I just asked him a question. I said, look, how long does it take you to get fit? And he was like, Varane will be fit. Varane's fit for this game. This decision is really about whether Ollie wants to pick him or stick with Lindelof. I just said, well, if that's the case, then it has to be Varane. And I think he will start Varane.
Do you?
Yeah, because if you don't start him in this game, why?
Yeah, when?
Why would you start him against Wolves? Wolves is a harder game. Get him in the team. So yeah.
But why would they not be involved in the Burnley game? That's the thing. I thought was weird.
Yeah.
Why would you not give him half an hour just to get some minutes in? He's had 2 days of training, perfect opportunity. See how he gets on. He'll tell you how he's feeling. But yeah, I've just got this horrible feeling it's going to get to Sunday morning and we're going to see the same team that came out against Leeds. It's very, Ollie doesn't like.
Dan James will not suit Southampton. It's not that sort of game. I'm pretty sure. I'm 90% sure Sancho will start, and I'm 75% sure Varane will start.
Sancho will, I'm sure. Yeah, he's got to come in for Dan James. But the Varane thing worries me. Mark, don't roll at Liverpool. Oh, Varane defo, you got a fresh. Well, that fresh haircut's obviously a good indicator that there's definitely a correlation there. Why would you spend 15 quid on a haircut if you weren't starting?
I think that it'd be interesting to see what he does on Sunday, in relation to that. A few people, I feel like I should bring it into the show. And Dembele has apparently asked Spurs to leave.
Get in line by the sounds of it.
Would Dembele be the sort of player that you would welcome at Manchester United?
Not for me, no. I think he is a Spurs level player, and I mean that in a nice way. I mean, they're a great side, but for me, he's not a top 4 midfielder. To me, he's not. I know he's decent, but to me, he doesn't offer a lot more than a Fred does. Or look at who we've got. I don't see. I think if bringing someone in, they've got to be better or potentially better, like world best or could be world best. And to me, he doesn't fit either of those categories, in my opinion. What do you think?
Well, I'm just reading the chat, and it's a mixture of you're dumb, get him, to no, to he's not a holding midfielder. I mean, effectively, I remember the days we've done videos on Dembele before he went to Spurs. 2 years we were talking about Dembele. He's always
that would have been the time. That would have been the time to get him for me. Like get him then, and then we could have got the. I don't think at this point it's tricky. Have you seen the documentary, the Amazon one, the Spurs one?
I don't know why I never finished that. I did watch a few episodes of it, and then I never finished with it. But
he's a lovely guy. He seems like a really nice bloke, and so it's not about him as a person. I just don't think he's any. Why would you bring someone in that's the same? You don't win. I don't think you win a Premier League with him. If that's what we're trying to do, if that's the question, will you win a league title with Dembele alongside? I don't know. No, not for me.
Well, it's like Aniola just said in the chat. He's a very talented footballer, but he's not a holding midfielder. And I think
all for nothing.
I think he is a box-to-box player.
Yeah.
He'd play where McTominay played at the weekend, not where Fred played, and we need someone to play where Fred played.
Yeah, we need a Fred. We need a better Fred. And is he any better than that?
I think he may well do the job better than Fred, but has he? I think the problem would be he's better than Fred. But I don't think Fred's a holding midfielder either. We do need a specialist midfielder in that role. And the only one we have is Matic. So, you don't solve the problem by getting a slightly better Fred. You solve the problem by getting somebody who can do that role. Because I personally think that Fred's role is the one that McTominay plays.
It's Fred or Matic. That's how they're being played. And it's everyone else. Like, we need a Fred or a Matic. We're trying to put, round pegs in square holes. That's the second time I talk about pegging.
Round pegs in square holes actually works. Square pegs in round holes. That's what Ollie's trying to do.
That's what Ollie's trying to do. So Dembele for you? No.
It's a difficult one because I do rate him. I think he's a good player. I don't think because he's done badly at Spurs. It's a little bit like players that have done badly at Arsenal. I think the Arsenal have got some players that I think would be decent players under Pep, Klopp, maybe even at United.
Partey, etc.
Yeah, and I think that Smith Rowe, Saka. I even think a Klopp could do something with a Pepe. I really do. I think there are players that end up at clubs, and we've had them as well. We've had players where I think Kagawas and players like that. But just because they didn't work at us, it's a circumstance thing. And I do think that Mkhitaryan, but I mean, he did go to Arsenal as well. He had no luck.
What terrible downturn that was.
But I think
he was all right in the Europa League, wasn't he? Kind of won us that.
Yeah, but I do think Dembele at a Man City, maybe a Liverpool. I'm not saying he would succeed, but I do think that a different surrounding would work. But I would agree with most people in saying that, look, you probably can turn him into a holding midfielder. It's a bit like Van der Beek. He probably could do that role, but reality is you're taking a risk. It's a risk to turn Dembele into that sort of player when actually you shouldn't have to. Look at what Pep does. He goes and gets Rodri. He goes and gets a player for that position. Liverpool go and get Fabinho. Like, we need to go and get... and there are players out there. There's bloody loads of them. There's loads of players. We spoke about Ruben Neves at the start of the show. We spoke about Tchouaméni a couple of days ago.
I saw Kurt Miners go 18 million or something like that.
Has he gone now?
No, I don't. I think it fell. He
went to Atalanta, didn't he? But it fell through.
Yeah, but he's on the market for like 18 million. I mean, that's what 15. That's what we paid for Dan James.
Sander Berg as well.
Sander Berg. Yeah, so for me, it's like you go world best and you blow everyone out the water, or you go for someone that could be. And I think you're right. A lot of it is circumstantial. We don't have the setup and the coaching structure and infrastructure to coach and then Dembele to be a world best. Whereas Liverpool, Man City probably do. So therefore, he's probably not a good fit for us, in my view.
I hear this a lot from Nick. I don't know whether you've seen this, James. I mean, what's your thoughts on that? United are waiting for Rice next year, and I mean, I've seen it in the press as well. And what we do know about United is it sometimes does take them a year to get the player that they should have got a year ago. And Declan Rice is the player that would want this summer, that we might try and get next summer.
That's that girl that says she's going to break up their boyfriend all the time, and then she keeps you hanging on, and then they get married, and you're like, well, that's Rice. It's there to keep us excited, so that when we don't buy someone this year, we go, that's fine. Don't worry. This in 2022, we'll have Rice for dinner. It's a no. I don't see it, mate. What about you?
No,
I know you're skeptical. Yeah.
I agree with what you said at the start. It's Declan Rice wants to go to Chelsea, and anyone in the know knows that.
A lot of people
it's very well known he wants to go to Chelsea. It doesn't mean he wouldn't come to United. It doesn't mean he won't stay at West Ham for 5 years. But he everyone's got a dream move. I'd imagine Luke Shaw's dream move was Chelsea because he's a Chelsea fan.
Yeah,
he's ended up coming to Manchester United, and John Terry was a Manchester United fan. So being the fan of a club doesn't mean that you're going to end up there. But if the opportunity's there, Rice would like to go to Chelsea. And I think Man United going, we're not buying a midfielder this year because we're going for Rice next year. That should only be done if if you're certain you're going to get that player in a year's time. They're not certain, so they're selling you a dream, really.
Yeah, well, the Sancho's a good example of that. We were pretty nailed on that a year later we would still end up with Sancho. That in that situation, I mean, it wasn't right the way we did it, but do you see what I mean? Like, we knew that we were probably going to be front of the queue in a year's time. We'll only be third or fourth. We won't be near it in a year's time. What do you think about Basuma, though? I'm a big fan of his. I remember the Brighton match in April. I thought he was phenomenal. And I don't know what you think. I'd love to see us go for someone like that. If it's not a Neves, I think he'd be great for us.
I'd love it with Basuma, and I'm sure, somebody says no chance Basuma is 40 million after Ben White. I mean, yeah, I have often thought that the price that they may put on Basuma is interesting, but I've never heard United be linked to Basuma. So for me,
Arsenal seem to be there or thereabouts with it. But then that'd be a shame. That'd be a downside for him, wouldn't it?
I mean, Potter has said he's unsure about what Basuma's future is at the club, and I'm pretty sure he's only got 2 years left on his deal. So, to be honest with you, that puts his price a little bit cheaper than Ben White, who I think had quite a lot on his contract, and also is English. So I think you can get Basuma for 35 million quid. There's a lot of midfielders available for 35 million pounds. I'd love us to sign Basuma. But, again, a week and a half left. We ain't getting Basuma now. We're not getting anybody. We're not getting Neves. The only player I think we could get is Camavinga because it's the only player we've been linked to.
Or a championship player. There's someone that because I think there goes on a bit longer, doesn't it, their window? And also he'll be cheaper and it's a step up and it's an easier deal to do. Sheffield United, obviously, we're talking to Sheffield United at this moment about Ahmad. I hope that doesn't happen. But that seems like it's possible. But I agree with you. Basuma feels like we don't move that quick. We're not. Slow sports news.
Yeah, slow sports news. They are not capable. And I'll say it right now. And if I got proved wrong, I'd be very, very happy about it. But they are not capable, Manchester United, of a week and a half of a transfer window left going, let's get Basuma, let's get Ruben Neves, and going and doing that. We're not capable. There will be some groundwork with Camavinga.
And we're still trying to sell someone, don't forget, potentially. So, you think we can do both? I don't know. That would be interesting if we sell Lingard and bring in no one. I wonder what that reaction will be like, because that all this time we've been told it's all about sales, and if we actually do sell someone and then don't bring someone in, that's going to piss people off.
I think that will happen, don't you? I think that will happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're being set up for that. Actually, yeah.
Because it's not like it's not like I'm West Ham and you're Man United, and I go, I'd like Lingard, and you go, yeah, let's get the deal done in a couple of days and spend the money.
Woo.
United take ages to sell as well. I mean, Andres Pereira, we've been trying to loan him basically for free to Flamengo for 2 weeks. They're not giving us any money, and it's still taking time to go through.
Yeah, I don't know how's that happened. How are we paying for him to go somewhere?
Because he's crap, basically. Nobody wants him and we can't use him. So he's got to go somewhere. And it's basically like, it's like getting someone to look after your dog when you go on holiday, isn't it? It's like you've got to pay somebody to look after your dog.
Yeah.
Like he's like a little puppy, you know. He's a nice lad, you know, and I'm sure he's nice to have around. But we're going on holiday for 9 months to try and win a title, and there's no point you coming. So we need to pay somebody to look after you, and that's basically what we're doing with Pereira.
It's like a Brazilian babysitter, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not harsh. You know, as a person, nice guy, but in a footballing sense, we're paying Flamengo to babysit him really because we can't have him around. You know. We can't have him around basically because I think we have to have quotas of players that we can pick for the Champions League and we can pick for the Premier League. And it's not just about you can have a player around, of course you can, but the reason we don't want him around is because we just don't have any room in the squad for him.
It's quite. I mean, we've actually had to send him to the other side of the world to get rid of him. I mean, that's it's a bit shit, isn't it? Bless him.
Yeah, I mean, he's got Brazilian links, but
well, so we're told.
Yeah, some people would have said we should send him for where he came from, Stoke. But
yeah, Glasgow.
Yeah.
Well, I read he's going there because he reckons it's the best chance he's got of getting back in the Brazil squad. I mean, you've got to admire the ambition.
Yeah, I think he's.
We'll see.
I think we will spend the next week and a half selling Lingard if we're going to sell anybody, and then that will be it. I really do.
Yeah, I can't see us doing more than that, if that. What are your thoughts on Ahmad? I mean, I saw the press conference earlier, and I know you sort of would be quite happy for him to stay, but do you think he's likely to get a loan in the next few days?
Well, no, Ollie's now saying that he has got a good chance of staying at the club, hasn't he?
Yeah, but do you think he said that about Sanchez. Do you think he'll...
Yeah. I just think with that one, it's quite an interesting turn of phrase because he actually said... I don't know, it was the last press conference or a couple of weeks ago. He did say, big chance that Ahmad's going to go on loan. Ahmad's come back training this week. And it feels like what I was told when he came in, when he came in from Atalanta in January. There was so much noise about how good he was in training. And I think what's happened is he's come back from the Olympics. He's trained with the first team and he's been one of the best players in training. And Ollie's gone,
oh, shit.
There's no point sending this lad to the Championship. He's too good. Yeah. If I'm going to send him to a Premier League club, it could embarrass us. I think it's a good sign that he's obviously doing really, really well in training and Ollie's thinking about using him. But will he get game time?
Well, to me, that sounded a lot like it would, if he stayed, Lingard surely would, because you can't have 10 players for 3 slots. If Ahmad stays, someone has to go, whoever that is, got to be Lingard, hasn't it? If Ahmad stays.
I just worry about game time because I think at the start of the season, you start the season and you think, wow, I've got an amazing squad. And then as we all know, when we played FIFA or Football Manager, you get to November and you do tend to use the same players again and again and again. And we've got, like you say, 7, 8, 9 options in 3 positions.
Well, most people wouldn't, would they? I mean, Ollie's the only one that seems to do that in the league, the same 14 people.
No, but you know what I mean? Like Pep. He's got a Mahrez and a Foden, but then he can use a Sterling and a Silva. He will rotate those 4 players in the wider positions. And United on the wider positions, you've got Rashford, James, Martial, Greenwood, Sancho, Ahmad,
Elanga.
Elanga. Yes, we've got 3, maybe 4 options for those 2 wide positions. Mata's still there, of course, as well.
Oh, we forget about poor Juan.
Yeah. Whoa, I think I've found myself a cheerleader. He is a bit of a cheerleader, isn't he, Mata? But I think he's going to be a coach. I mean, I'm at peace with Mata being here.
Getting some pom-poms would be good.
He's a nice guy, and he obviously is somebody who's actually won things. So, you know.
I thought a bit, I was talking about this, the cultural thing. I wonder if a big part of keeping him was, because Varane seems like a really old head on youngish shoulders, like a really calm guy. And if you look at that squad, it's very young. There's a lot of similar age guys. And I wonder if just having a couple of those senior guys around was in part just to sort of settle Varane a little bit. I know that might be a bit of a weird thing to say, but they are also human. Like, he's going to a new country. Do you know what I mean? Because he's so different from Pogba. He said that himself. And there's a lot of like Jesse does the dancing, and you wouldn't, Juan and I think Cavani probably, and maybe De Gea. There's only a few senior lads really. So I wonder if that was part of that. Where
do you sit on Ollie, James, as somebody who's new on the channel?
I wouldn't sit on
him. Some people would sit on him. A lot of people would sit on him. But where do you sit on Ollie? Because that's always one of the big key questions for anybody who comes on the channel.
Yeah, I think it's a big 6 months. At the moment, I'm Ollie in. I want him to do well. I think that's. I don't know if he will. I worry that he's not the guy for us. In my heart of hearts, I think, yeah, it's tricky, mate. I don't want to say I guess I'm Ollie doubtful, but that feels like I'm sitting on the fence. I'm Ollie in, but it wouldn't take much for me. I think my patience is wearing pretty thin, and I think he has to deliver. There's no excuses at the moment. I know the centre midfielder thing, but with that squad, you've got to be doing some exciting stuff. And if he doesn't, I think by Christmas it could easily happen. I pray it doesn't, but I want him to do well.
I personally think, as an Ollie outer, and I'm not an Ollie outer, I'm Ollie
I was going to say you've changed.
As an Ollie outer, yeah, I'm Ollie out. Get him out, he's shit.
Oh, shit.
What a trap. What a crap signing.
Call Levin.
Yeah, but I think that if you are an Ollie outer, you're in for a very frustrating at least 2 years. I hate to say that. Well, I don't hate to say it. I'm very happy to say it. But I think that, James is right. And a lot of people say this. It's a big season for Ollie. But I think that it's impossible for him to be sacked. And the reason for that is we could finish fourth, 30 points off first, and all say, well, he's failed because he's meant to be title challenging. And this is a big, big year for him. But I also know that our board wouldn't sack him for finishing fourth and 30 points off, because they'd go, well, we're in the Champions League. Well done, Ollie. And I think, and Sergio says they've set him up to fail. I think they've secured, I think they've set him up to never fail.
Yeah,
because as long as we get top four, I don't think this board has never sacked anybody who's got top four.
I don't think this board ever backed anyone like they backed him as well. Like he's only been here. What is it? His third season. Have you ever seen a manager get that much time and that the players they actually want?
I think the worst scenario is, and I think everyone would agree with this, is that we finish third or fourth, a long way off the title, and then this time next year, we're going into another season where we just become Arsenal under Wenger, where it's like we're always going. And look, that is progression. Like over the last 8 years, we've missed out on top four, I think 50% of the time. Yeah. So I think with the stability under Ollie is that we've got a happy squad and we are a top four club. We are. He's done that for 2 years in a row, and he'll definitely do it this year. But I think what we all want and what the standard at United should be is like it is at Chelsea and Man City. If you finish second, you've got a good chance you're going to get sacked. That's what I'd like our board to be, because then I think you're right. And I think everybody's right. This is a big year for Ollie. And if he doesn't get us in a title race after however many years he's been here, then, as Duncan says, anything less than a trophy and 80 points is a failure. But 75 points will get you top four and no trophy, and he will still be here. But again, it goes back to the board again. The board didn't get the midfielder. The board have not sold anybody. I can't blame Ollie. I can't blame the players for that. I also think that, you can't blame Ollie for not being sacked. Like, he's not, what's he supposed to do? It's like the guy jump off.
Take me.
Yeah. But
hold on to me.
I think the board won't sack him, even if we have the season that we think is a bad season. And I think it's impossible. Do you think it's possible that we could finish outside the top four with that squad we've got?
Of course it's possible. We could. It's definitely possible. I mean, I don't think it will happen, but yeah, he could. I think the fans are going to have a big impact as well this time. He's never really had a full house. Well, I know he did a little bit, but it's going to be interesting to see how his lineups go down, because I don't imagine people are going to keep quiet. I mean, it's easy doing it behind closed doors and just ignoring Twitter the day after, but yeah, seeing him actually react to it live and having it. We know the things he's got to change. He has to make substitutions. He has to mix up the squad. He has to rotate. If he does that, he should be fine. If he doesn't, he's going to be... Christmas could be, there won't be many Christmas cards around the table, I'd imagine.
I just think it's impossible with Varane, Maguire, Luke Shaw, Pogba, Bruno, Sancho, Cavani.
You get a couple of injuries and there's no... It could happen. It happens Liverpool, doesn't it?
Yeah, what it is, though? You sit at the start of a season. This is why everyone's full of positive. It's like, I just can't see how it can go wrong. I can't see how we don't win every single game. Of course, because it hasn't happened yet. And until this team of new players let you down, you can't see you being let down. But yeah, I think the problem is the board, and the problem has always been the board. I want a board that basically puts the pressure on the manager that there's your 400 million over 3 years. You better get us in a title race this year. What if I get you third? No, you're gone. If you don't get us in a title race, you're gone. So
I brought in a new defensive coach. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's going to be yeah. I don't know, mate. I hope, I pray. I'm Ollie in until we'll see. He's not going anywhere. We got to just go. We got to embrace it.
no, and look at last week; it was fantastic, and I think we'll beat Southampton. And I've said from the start, I think we've got to win the first 6 games, and then the confidence builds, momentum. Ollie's fully aware of this. I thought his press conference again was fantastic today. I think he's going to do everything in his powers to win a title. I don't think I think he believes he can do that.
I think for the first time as well, you look at that squad, and there's different kinds of leaders. You look at Varane isn't a shouter. Like, we've got a lot of people that talk a lot of talk and come out and say the right things, but Varane doesn't do that. If you've watched the doc, he doesn't say a lot, and he said himself he'll shout if he needs to. And I think for the first time, we haven't got people that are there giving it the big on social media. We've hopefully got a real diverse range of people doing different things. And I think for the first time, the mix of experience and youth is spot on, and the makeup of the squad looks good. There's a lot of reasons to be excited.
I'll make a statement and the chat can respond to it. And obviously you can, James, as well. I am 75% sure that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will still be the manager of Manchester United at the start of next season.
You're 75% sure he'll be the manager of Manchester United?
Yeah. I don't think we can finish outside the top 4, and therefore I think he will be still here next year.
So do you think that's what his standard?
I don't think it's Ollie's standard, and I don't think it's my standard, and I don't think it's many United fans' standard, but I think the Glazers' standard is the problem at this football club. We've seen it in this transfer window. They will do enough to get top 4, but they won't do enough to get us a title. Where's the midfielder? They've got Sancho and Varane, fantastic. Where's the midfielder? No. I've said it so many times, and look, this club is run by the wrong people, and effectively, they just want top 4. That's all they want, which is why Varane and Sancho, people go, oh, no, they're trying to do whatever. Varane and Sancho guarantee you top 4. I think at the start of last season, I predicted we wouldn't get top 4, and we did. We did really, really well. I think adding Varane and Sancho gets you guaranteed top 4, and I think that's all the Glazers want.
I'd go higher than you. I'd go 85% that if that situation occurs, he will be here starting next season, still trying to get Rice.
And that's not Ollie's fault, by the way.
No.
Just because...
He doesn't hire himself, does he?
Well, no, I think Ollie's like the fans. I think Ollie knows he's got to fight for a title this year. And I think Ollie would expect, if he was managed by someone like Abramovich or Man City, if he finished 3rd or 4th, he'd expect to be sacked.
Yeah.
And I think, it's not. That's why it's not Ollie's fault. And I think the fans would expect that. But this is the problem at this football club. I don't think we're out of the woods with the owners of this club. And I do think that Ollie will be in charge next year because I think regardless of what he does, but I hope we're going to fight for a title.
90% club back, Rishab says.
Yeah, I think he will be manager next year, which is why if you I don't feel sorry for people who are Ollie out because I can't relate to it at the moment. But I do think if you're going into this season hoping for a run of fixtures that are going to go in and you're going to get proved right, I just not with these owners. I just don't think we're looking at that. I've never known a manager so loved by the board. Mourinho, Van Gaal, you used to hear things. Moyes, they were a bit worried about, but with Ollie, it's like he is the perfect man for them because he's the one who just protects them, doesn't he? Because he's so loved.
He's never gonna say anything untoward. He's like the perfect sort of schoolboy. He's gonna go to church on a Sunday morning, and it's all gonna be great, and it's all gonna be fine. The smiles are there, and
in the majority, we as fans do love Ollie.
Yeah, well, you heard them singing on the weekend. I mean, I had a lot of Ollies.
Oh yeah, because he's the thing is, he is a nice guy. He is a club legend, and everybody does want him to be successful.
Do you think? Well, someone said this to me earlier on that we now have the best backup centre-back pairing in the league. I didn't say that. Someone asked me that question. I thought it was interesting because we talked a lot about Chris Smalling, didn't we? And is he potentially the best, second best?
Question.
So if you think when we got first choice for Anna Maguire, then we got Lindelof and Bailly. I mean, that's pretty decent, isn't it?
Well, Man City have got the best backup centre back in the league because they've got Laporte. But
as a
Laporte and Aki are not better than Bailly and Lindelof.
As we saw on the weekend.
Yeah, unfortunately, Nathan Aki is a bit crappy.
It's been a good year for Dutch footballers in the Premier League, isn't it?
Yeah. What have Chelsea got? I mean, you could argue Chelsea's got some good centre-backs.
Yeah,
that young lad, they're going to bring Koundé in as well. we've certainly got. I mean, Liverpool have got. No, Ahmed's right. Liverpool have got good ones because they can play Konate and Gomez, Matip or Van Dijk. So,
oh yeah,
but it's the same old story, James, isn't it? We're talking about Chelsea, Man City, Man United, and Liverpool.
And don't forget, we've got our 5th choice centre back, as Ollie referred to him the other day.
Yeah. So I don't know that Lindelof and Bay are the best because I think Liverpool and Chelsea and maybe even Man City have got something to say about that. But we've definitely got good quality cover there, definitely.
Yeah. Despite that, we hope they don't play more than they need to. But yeah, if worse came to the worst, it wouldn't be the worst thing, would it?
Right. Well, we've done the hour. I thoroughly enjoyed having you on, James.
Yeah, cheers, mate. It's been a lot of fun.
Where can people find you on Twitter?
My James_Stew, STEW.
There you go. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thanks for having me, mate. It's been a lot of fun. It's like I said, I spent a lot of lockdown. I probably like a lot of people in the chat, I guess, go into spending Friday nights with you. So it's nice to actually be
virtually in your living room or the
sorry.
bedroom.
Tell your missus not to worry too much.
I just want to give everyone a shout out as well. I mentioned it this afternoon. I've dropped the link in the video description. Driving with Goldbridge, episode 1. A lot of people are really enjoying it. I've dropped the link in the video description again. 100,000 views in under 8 hours it's had. So thanks everyone who is watching it and giving the feedback on it. That's basically what I wanted people to do, to just watch it. So thanks everyone who has. If you haven't watched it, bang. If you haven't watched it, check it out through the link in the video description.
Carbridge karaoke.
Very exciting weekend, James.
Yeah, look forward to it. I think I might be seeing you at some point over the weekend. So not this. People are going to start asking questions, Mark.
Okay.
Let's
I'm not aware of this, but I'm sure.
Read the chat.
It will happen. Okay. Thanks to everyone for watching. Make sure you smash a like on the video. We're back in the morning with the morning show, and then tomorrow at some point the Paul Ince interview will go up, which is his thoughts ahead of the weekend's game against Southampton, and also a bit about Cantona and how really good, really interesting chat about Cantona because he was there when Cantona came in and the comparisons to Bruno. So watch out for that over the weekend. Thanks everyone for watching, and speak to you all soon.